So much for joining us and bearing with us through these technical difficulties. Let's take a verbal roll call before we get started. Commissioner Hemmer, are you here?
Aye.
Commissioner Bergeron, are you here?
Sorry, I am here.
Okay.
Having a little
No worries.
mute button trouble. I'm here.
No worries. Commissioner Weiner, are you here?
I am.
Great, thank you. All right, in just a moment, we're going to do public comment time. It'll be coming up shortly, and it'll be for all agenda items, and it'll be taken at the same time. Members of the public wishing to speak on matters posted for public comment time may call the following number, 629-255-1939. Again, that number is 629-255-1939. We'll circle back in just a moment to see if we have anyone on the line. Before we get started, we do need to address that this is a virtual meeting. So I move that the proposed agenda constitutes essential business and meeting electronically as necessary to protect the health, safety, and well-being of Tennesseans in light of the COVID-19 outbreak. Do I have a second?
This is Jason Bergeron, second.
Great, thanks. We'll take a roll call vote there. Commissioner Hemmer?
Aye.
Commissioner Bergeron?
Aye.
Commissioner Weiner?
Aye.
And I, Commissioner McAnally, am also an aye. All right, let's call this meeting to order now. Welcome to the November 2020 Fair Board meeting. Before we get started here, I'm going to read our legal notice as information for our audience. If you're not satisfied with the decision made by the Metropolitan Board of Fair Commissioners today, you may appeal the decision by petitioning for a writ of cert with the Davidson County Chancery or Circuit Court. Your appeal must be filed within 60 days of the date of the entry of the board's decision. To ensure that your appeal is filed in a timely manner and that all procedural requirements have been met, please be advised that you should contact your own independent legal counsel. All right, so first item on the agenda is last meeting's minutes that were circulated to the board, and I'll give everyone a chance to look these over. Let me know when there's a motion.
This is Jason Bergeron. I'll move to approve.
Commissioner Hammer, a second.
Any discussion? Okay, great. We'll do a roll call vote. Commissioner Hemmer?
Aye.
Commissioner Bergeron?
Aye.
Commissioner Weiner?
Aye.
And I, Commissioner McAnally, am also an aye. Okay, moving on to public comment time. I'm going to read that number again in case anyone missed it at the top of the meeting. If you'd like to make a comment, please call us at 629-255-1939, and I will officially open the floor for public comment. Chrissy, do we have anyone on the line?
Chairman McAnally, we have no calls at this time.
Okay, great. Well, then I will close the floor for public comment, but please let me know if anybody comes in, and maybe we can readdress that.
Will do.
Okay, great. All right, first up on the agenda then is the financial report from Satrice.
Good morning, everyone. This is Satrice speaking.
Good morning.
The preliminary actuals through October 2020 are as follows. Revenues through October are $26,210. Expenditures are $705,219, resulting in a net loss of approximately $679,000. Depreciation expense is $85,978, so the total net loss is $764,987. Below you will find an itemized list of our expenditures. Our top three expenses are payroll, utilities, and insurance/LOCAP. Payroll expense is $372,677. which is 53% of our total expenses. Utility expense is $121,938, which is 17%. Insurance, permits, and low cap expense is approximately $130,000, which is 18% of our total expenses. I would like to mention that last fiscal year's books have not officially closed, and Metro has until December 31st to publish the financial statements. Once the books have officially closed, I will provide the board with an updated financial report of last fiscal year. This concludes the financial report. Any questions?
Any questions for Satrice? Okay, thank you so much, Satrice. We will move on to Executive Director's report. Laura?
Hey, good morning, everyone. Hope you're enjoying the balmy November weather. I have three quick things. I've got more, but we'll certainly wait until the appropriate agenda item as it comes up in our schedule for today. Just wanted to give a quick update that I have sent an inquiry over to the state, our contact at the state, just to inquire where we are with the state fair decision from the commission to relocate the state fair to Wilson County. As far as I'm aware, it is not, I think, a 100% solidified idea to go to Wilson Fair or Wilson County for the fair. So what I've asked is just an update on where they are with that decision, as we obviously need to make a decision on what we're going to do to move forward, whether or not to put out an RFP, start, making plans for a divisional fair. Certainly my fear is to put a lot of work to that end, and then being asked to host it again. And then we've done a lot of work for, not for no reason, but it is going to take a lot of effort to do that. And I just want a little bit more clear direction from them of the possibilities of that of the fair actually relocating in 2021. So I will let you know as soon as I hear back from them. The other thing that we're looking at.
Laura?
Yes.
Sorry, it's Commissioner Hammer. I have a quick question.
Yes.
Chair will indulge. In that regard, instead of waiting for them, I don't know if you've had any preliminary discussions or had any outreach from other fair operators that just kind of understand from their perspective what timelines they would need in order to make that call to have, and also whatever RFP timelines we need to do too. I think we need to be cognizant of that, not be reactionary to the whims of the fair board, being that they've kind of gone back and forth on their decision making.
No, that is a good point. As far as, there's obviously several parts to a fair. The carnival portion itself is already in the books, because that is something that, the carnival company kind of pencils in for each of their fairs that they normally work. So the good thing is that portion is kind of held right at the moment. Certainly the agricultural portion and, creative arts, and that is definitely something that would have to be almost done from scratch. And that is a more limited audience to assist with running that. So to your point, Commissioner Hemmer, agreed that we need to move forward quickly.
And I think also in that same vein, I don't know if we've had any guidance from Metro Legal about what a divisional fair will means or is defined in their opinion. Make sure we, when we go to RFP, that we have that information ready. Thank you.
Yes, I will make sure to follow up with them as well. And also using our experts that we have engaged in the last several months about divisional fairs and state fairs and all of the activities that are usually held during those events. And certainly there is some guidance in charter as well as far as the focus, although that is certainly up for interpretation. And I know that several commissioners over the years have talked about modernizing and looking at some modern or today's industry in Tennessee, and how more technology and engineering, more STEM type programs kind of contribute to agriculture as well. So I think we have a lot of opportunity to look at it from a different, maybe a different lens. So happy to work with the commissioners on that if anybody's got any specific ideas as we put together the information for our fair.
Hey, Laura.
Yes.
Hey, it's Commissioner Bergeron. Just real quick, I just wanted to sort of second all of Commissioner Hemmer's comments, and also just I hate to see you and staff put in sort of a position of right, not wanting to exert unnecessary effort, being caught a little bit in between, and at least from my perspective, I know I've done this a lot, and it's been ignored, but I would once again like to think we should extend an invitation to Mr. Jones and Congressman Rhodes. If there's not resolution by the next board meeting in December, to have them at least appear by phone, since it'll probably be virtual, to sort of say where things are and maybe take some questions from the commission, because all we're trying to do is make sure a fair gets put on one way or the other next year, and they're putting us in a really difficult position if it keeps dragging on. I understand that they have a lot of work they're doing, but they also have to be reasonable and be realistic here. So I mean, at least if you could extend that invitation to have them jump on the phone if it isn't resolved in the next month, I think that's a good idea.
Thank you. I can do that. I think it's good to have, if we are going to entertain questions, it would be good to have a representative from the commission. I myself and Scott Jones have had conversations since this vote was taken at the state commission, and he also is in a position of waiting to hear what the final decision is going to be, because obviously TSFA from his perspective is impacted by this decision as well. So he is also waiting for this information. So like I said, I did reach out to this, I believe his position is secretary with the State Fair Commission at the state. And so hopefully I hear back. He's usually very responsive, and I can follow up with the board once I hear back from them. So thank you for your input. If, like I said, if you have any ideas, I know Commissioner Bergeron has sent over some thoughts about what kind of focus and some maybe new ideas for a fair. Certainly feel free to send those over to us. Another exercise that we are working on with Metro Finance at the moment is just identifying all reimbursable expenses for the shelter. As you can imagine, there are several sources of funding to support our homeless shelter. And so we're making sure, along with finance, that we are appropriately coding all expenses for things like, our direct costs, such as labor and supplies and equipment and services that we're providing for the shelter are pretty obvious. But there are some other funding sources that we can use to offset some expenses, such as depreciation and insurance. And so we've been working with them to make sure that we're identifying all the costs that are eligible and being very cognizant of not assigning costs that are not eligible to certain funding sources. So you can imagine that is quite the exercise as we go through this, but I think we're on a good path here and making sure that we are utilizing all the funding sources available to us and making sure that all expenses are appropriate. I also want to thank Satrice. Now, I've taken the opportunity almost at all of these board meetings to highlight certain staff members and to thank them. And certainly by highlighting one does not discount the efforts of the rest of our staff. But I do want to thank Satrice for her work. She's been working on an audit, so to speak, of our sales tax to make sure that everything that we are charging tax for is appropriate, and just cleaning that whole system up, both from a staff educational standpoint, as well as making sure our software is charging the sales tax appropriately on the right things. So Satrice, thank you so much for your work on that. It just makes us a lot more efficient and making sure that, again, our costs are coded appropriately and that we're paying our fair share of sales tax as we're supposed to. So I thank Satrice for her efforts with that.
Thank you, Laura.
Thank you, Satrice. And thank you, Laura, for that report. Do we have any questions on the board?
Yes, Chairman McNally, I have a question for Laura, maybe Satrice. From looking at our financial report and the challenges we do have, I was curious, do we have any clarity yet from Metro or maybe I don't know if it's the Coronavirus Commission, but about our payments that we will be getting for being a homeless shelter?
So that's what we're working on now is, again, each of the funding sources that are available to Metro have different requirements for what is an eligible expense. So for, like I said, the direct expenses for, again, labor, supplies, equipment, and services like food and beverage, security, and the medical, that my understanding is can be, applied to one funding source, whereas something like insurance and depreciation is not covered by that funding source, but can be covered by another. So that's the exercise that we're going through now with Metro Finance to make sure that we're capturing all of the costs that can be applied to each individual funding source. So yes, we are working through that, and I think we'll have a better idea in the next maybe 30, 60 days as far as how much of those costs come out of what bucket.
Yeah, thank you.
Any other questions before we move on? Okay, great. We're going to move on to old business now. We're going to go slightly out of order to accommodate schedules here. So we're going to start with the racing season update and Speedway contract. Laura, do you want to take that up?
I do. I thought it would be a good opportunity since we have completed our last race of the season, the All-American 400, and it was beautiful weather. It was a wonderful event, and I thought that with Bob, he could kind of talk about the season as a whole and talk about the All-American specifically, and then and I'm hoping that him and Randy highlight the events that took place on Wednesday and Thursday of the All-American week, because those are really special. I was really grateful to be involved in those, and then I can follow up after that just to talk about the 2021 contract.
Yeah, this is Bob Sargent. And again, just want to thank everyone for being patient with us. Randy and his staff and what we've done at Track Enterprises to, try to bring the racing facility and the racing there locally and nationally back into the prominence that it once was. working very hard towards that. Whether it's paint on the walls or scheduling with national sanctioning bodies, things of that nature, that it all works together. This year, obviously, we dealt with COVID right off the bat, so we definitely had a lot of challenges working with the local doctor and the task force and all the protocol that we went through and Randy went through. And I guess, again, I'll touch on a little bit of this last weekend. Is the All-American 400 weekend, we call it. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, worked very hard on our timing and getting done early on Friday, Saturday night. Sunday afternoon, started on time and got done around 6 o'clock. So again, tried to minimize the hours at the facility all year long. Worked on mufflers, things of that nature that we talked with you about early in the spring. Again, COVID was a little bit of an issue, but we feel we made a lot of progress towards all that, and just kind of look forward to continuing that. And again, I think I'll let Randy talk a little bit about some events that we did and his group put together for the Hall of Fame and for the pre-race party and all the local racing. Randy?
Thank you, Bob. It's Randy. Yes, as Laura said, on Wednesday night, we had our annual Hall of Fame reception. This year we did it a little different. In past years, there's been just a little bit of presentation on the stage here at the track. We actually did a formal celebration for them. We actually used the facility at Big Machine Racing, which is just down the street from here, and used their event space with all the COVID protocols still in place. It was a small reception, but we still had a great night and honored our 3 Hall of Fame members this year in Lily Buford, Scott Borchetta, and Bob Harmon, who was a previous promoter here. Thursday night, we had our welcome party for the All-American weekend. We had that at a place called Old Smoky 6 and Peabody, which is right in downtown, one of our sponsors, and were able to secure their facility to have a little bit of entertainment and welcome all the participants from out of town. Laura got to attend and a few others. That way, again, COVID protocols were in place, so it was a little limited, but hopefully next year we'll be past this COVID and we can open it up to more people. But it was a real good night that led into starting on Friday for the All-American. As far as the season goes, season was well. The attendance was a little low this year, I think due to COVID and probably multiple reasons. But as Bob said, we concentrated on our times this year, our practice times, keeping everything within the what we promised. We also worked on the muffler rules, the DB levels, which we will have a full report to the board here soon. We're finishing up by car, by DB level, by race. It's a full detail that'll be coming out. Just give me another week or so, and we'll have that finished, and we'll send that out to everybody. But other than that, we just finished up another event for Laura, actually, in monster trucks this past weekend, which went well. Again, following COVID protocols here at the track, and it was another success. So it was a good year. Does anybody have any questions? I guess that's a good thing if nobody has questions.
Take it and run, Randy.
Okay, I'm running.
We are currently working on 2021 schedule with the national sanctioning bodies to fit in the local races. So we'll have that also very soon, probably on some people's minds. So I think it's probably 95% complete now.
Yeah, Laura, I will send you the tentative today that we have. It's just tentative, but I will send that to you today to review.
All right, perfect. To wrap up this agenda item, I just wanted to give an update for the 2021 contract. We'll be working on an extension to this year's contract for 1 year. with the intent moving forward to preparing an RFP for competitive bid for Speedway promoter moving forward. So just wanted to update the board on that. And it really was a great season. And I know that they had run through the list of Hall of Fame inductees this year, and I can't tell you how special that event was. They inducted the first woman into the Nashville Fairgrounds Speedway Hall of Fame, Miss Lily Buford. Her whole family has been involved in the track for a long time. I had the honor of meeting her and talking with her. That was really special. So that was a very fun event, and it definitely elevated and made our Hall of Fame really special, that event. So thank you both, Bob, Randy, your staff. It was a great season, so thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want to echo that. Thanks. Thank you. Thank you both, and thank your staff for us as well. Laura, will you just walk us through what next steps are in terms of negotiating that contract, so we know, will it come back to us next month? When should we be on the lookout for that?
Yeah, so that's what we will be looking at. We're going to be extending the contract for a year. And again, moving forward, we will prepare an RFP, and any resulting contract that comes from that will come back to the board for consideration. So yes, you will see the extension back at the board next board meeting, because there will inevitably be some changes in regards to some of the dates and scheduling that is going to be different from last year's contract, this 2020 contract to the 2021. So you will see that coming back.
Okay, great. Any questions from the board? Okay, we will, thank you so much, Mr. Dyson, Mr. Sargent. We will move on to the regular order here. Fairgrounds Improvement Project Update. I believe we have Mr. Henley and Mr. Gobble here today.
Yes, good morning. This is Edward Henley. Hopefully everyone can hear me okay.
Yep.
Good morning. I'll be kicking us off this morning. Hopefully everyone has the dashboards dated October the 31st. And so hopefully board staff as well as council, if you have any questions, you can reference that, but I'll be working through that this morning. I'll start off by saying, and I didn't say this, I don't believe, last board meeting, but just again to emphasize that the figures are roughly 30 to 45 days out of date when it comes to actual work that's taking place. So what you're reviewing is in arrears. But with that being said, not a lot of activity in terms of expenses has occurred since last month. From working our way down, just to start at the very high level, only about $70,000 of expenses will be reflected from the last board presentation to this one. As it relates to the expo building, about $45,000 to $50,000 of that was located there. The majority of that work being related to additional drainage that was put in place at the loading dock. And as you can see for the expo, we're still hovering around that 99% mark as we move to close out. There's only a few items that are lingering internal to the space. And then now as we start to have our seasonal change, some of our landscaping warranty items will be done. So replacing some dead shrubs and making sure that the exterior is closed out is what we can do during the COVID time. The multi-purpose building, which is where a majority of the remaining funds are, no construction start has been set as of yet. I'm still working through contract negotiations and execution. All that is still in progress. Demolition of the existing structures that was completed, as you all are aware. The final retainage release was approved in September, and the payments for that were received in October. And so Renaissance, who managed that for us, their contract is now closed out. Other cost items that do remain open with the grandstands, we have HVAC unit work and the associated framing and connections. That work's being performed by a lead company. This time, that's the only line item for construction that's outstanding, other than what we'll be closing out with the Expo building. Are there, again, a very, very limited amount of updates, but are there questions related to the improvement budget? And if not, I'll move to Fair Park. All right, hearing none. Again, not a lot of movement in terms of Fair Park. We have received some final utility bills, and as we work to close out that project, the only thing that's remaining there is just final permitting, working with water services there to have that completed and wrapped up. The Skanska is moving forward with preparing what will be their final bills likely this month, and then just making sure that we have any and all outstanding expenses that we'll be tallying those up, presenting a full register of any and all costs that we have to complete, likely having that done by the middle of this month. And then we'll also move for the large portion of their contract to be closed out as well. That's where we stand on both of those projects. If there are questions related to either of the items or any remaining scopes, I'm happy to answer those now. All right, I'll take the advice from earlier that the lack of questions and silence is a good thing. I'll turn it over to Ron, and he can finish the remainder of the update.
Thanks, Ed. The main project that is pending out there is the infrastructure project. Primarily, it's the extension of Wedgewood, with including a bridge that goes over Browns Creek to Craighead, and the extension of Benton Avenue that will loop through the center of the campus and connect Benton. And that project is the design on that work is 95% complete. It is being reviewed and submitted for permits right now. We are working to hire a construction manager. Bell Construction has been selected for negotiations, and their contract should be going to the Sports Authority this month for their review and submittal. And our plan is to start construction late January. You'll probably not see a lot of work on it until February or March, and then at that point in time, it will be full-blown get work done in order to meet certain milestones connected with the stadium. Other than that, in Ed's summary, I think that's pretty much all the stuff on campus except for the soccer stadium itself. Do I have any questions on anything other than the soccer stadium? There's not any. Mary Cavallo is going to present the stadium presentation. So, Mary.
Great. Good morning. Thank you, Ron. I'll provide a brief update on the stadium construction status as well as the club. The stadium project continues to make solid progress. Mass excavation work continues and is expected to wrap up over the next month. The utility work and building foundations are also underway. Looking ahead, the next significant milestone is the steel work beginning in January of 2021. As a reminder, this project had a 30% DBE requirement. The majority of the bid packages are now complete, and it looks like our DBE percentage is trending around 36%. This represents about $63 million of construction cost, and it's almost split evenly between women-owned businesses, minority-owned businesses, with a small remainder with small business enterprises. It's something that we are very serious about and pleased with the direction that we've ended up here. With respect to the neighborhood, we continue with our weekly updates, and our next quarterly update will be December 9th, and those folks who are closest to the stadium site will again receive an invitation to a WebEx meeting where the construction team will provide a more detailed update. And just briefly, in terms of the club, our regular season wrapped up on Sunday as we defeated Orlando 3-2. We've qualified for the playoffs in our inaugural year and ended up 7th in the Eastern Conference. So quite proud of that. And our next match, I believe, will be November 20th at Nissan Stadium. Please let me know if you have any questions. Thank you.
Ms. Kavara, this is Commissioner Hemmer. If I may, had two items to discuss. First, I saw a member of your staff posted a video of I think it was kind of a rendering of the stadium. I thought it was very informative, and I was hoping to get you or a member of your staff to email that to Laura or the board directly so they could view that if that was possible.
Absolutely. Thank you, Commissioner Hemmer. This was a video clip of the stadium renderings, including the premium spaces that we shared at the Sports Authority meeting last month. And I'll be happy to make arrangements that we can also have it posted for you guys. The size of the file is too big to email, but we will get it for you. Thanks.
Thank you. And then secondly, I think I read or saw, and forgive me if this was already discussed, where the Sports Authority, I think, approved the bonds or the issuing of the bonds. And I was just hoping you could give us a little update around that decision, and then talk about the timing. I believe that'll go to Metro Finance next to begin selling those. So if you could just talk to the board a little bit about that so we're familiar with that.
Absolutely, and very pleased to do so. So yes, you are correct that at the October board meeting, the Sports Authority did approve, or I guess approve again, the issuance of the revenue bonds. The process has started, and it's basically similar to what we did last time, where we need to go to the rating agencies to get the bonds rated. And it was something they did back in January of 2019. Then once that happens, then the marketing process takes place, and targeting to have the bonds issued by mid-December. And so what that means, it doesn't really change anything that's happening on the site. To date, the team has been funding all of the construction costs, and the net proceeds from the revenue bonds, once those are issued, would be used to fund remaining construction costs. And then to the extent there's any further construction costs after that, then the team would fund any difference there.
Great. Thank you for that overview.
Any other questions? Okay, great. Thank you so much, Mrs. Kavara. We will move on now to event update. Laura?
Thank you. It's Laura. And we also have Scott Wallace of our staff here too, just to kind of give an overview of what we've done to date and where we are moving forward. And certainly we also have Tom Sharp here from Metro Public Health. Public Health obviously has been very involved in our event schedule as far as reviewing and approving COVID protocols and having staff available for most of our events. So welcome to Tom. It's appropriate too at this time to kind of bring up the rodeo event. As many of you know, there was some video circulating about the rodeo event that we had at the end of October. There was certainly evidence of lack of social distancing and some mask wearing issues. And so wanted to kind of address that at this point too, and just talk about our investigation into that and talk about some of what we've learned and how we are going to fill some of the communication gaps that occurred as a result of that. So I can give a brief overview of that from my perspective, and then certainly Scott can kind of contribute to this as well. So in talking to staff that was present that night, for the most part of that rodeo event, we had bleachers set up. And for the most of the event, it was bull riding. And so it was a spectator event. Approximately the last 30 minutes was a time where the bands were playing. They had some mariachi bands, and that's when a lot of the dancing and the close and the social distancing broke down, certainly. Staff was on site. They tried to work with the promoter to enforce the COVID protocols. We did, however, in our internal investigation of what happened, did identify some communication gaps. One of those is the COVID protocol submissions. So we have been ensuring that our event promoters submit COVID protocols directly to the health department using their website. And then they get approvals back from the health department. What we've learned is that we are then kind of out of the loop as far as the protocol itself and the approvals. We obviously make sure that the approvals are granted and put that information in with the contract as it circulates for execution, but some of the details then are lost to us since we are not always copied on the submissions and or the approvals, or if there is any changes to the protocols that our promoters submit to the health department. So what we've been discussing as a remedy to that is having our event promoters develop the COVID protocols, assisting them with what we have learned over the last several months, and having them sign off on their protocols, and we will submit it on their behalf to the health department. That way we can ensure that we are in the loop throughout the entire process of submitting the protocols and then getting the feedback back from the health department. So we're essentially making sure that we're just included in that whole process. There was also a little breakdown in communication of the approved protocol that night to our weekend staff. So they were unaware of some of the restrictions that had been placed on that event. And so we have remedied that internally to make sure that staff is very well aware of any attendance restrictions or any other operational restrictions that have been put into place. I'm probably forgetting something. I don't know if I'm forgetting anything, Scott. If you want to join in, if there's anything that you and I, oh, yes. And the last thing is certainly that if our staff ever feels like, an event becomes a situation, and this not only goes towards, our environment today with COVID and public health protocols, but certainly any event, it might be a fire marshal or a capacity issue or fire safety or anything that impacts certainly public health and safety, is that never hesitate to call and ask for help. And I think that is one of the lessons also that we have reiterated with staff, that if at any time, they need some assistance, and I think in this incident also, is that there may have been some language barriers. And although we did have signage present in English and Spanish, there was some difficulties there. So in order to mitigate those and identify those in advance so that we can keep an eye on and monitor the protocols as they have been agreed to between the promoter and public health.
I want to open it up for questions from the board, but I want to say, first of all, thank you, Laura, for that overview and your honesty and figuring out ways to mitigate the issues that we've been seeing. I personally want to say, and I want to hear from the board on this, that I'm extremely uncomfortable with the fact that we're having events of this size as these numbers skyrocket. Having had COVID and having still dealing with issues from COVID and watching people that I love die, I am extremely uncomfortable with these numbers, especially in light of the fact that, and this is understandable, but that the health department is having issues clearly with oversight. So that being said, I want to hear from the rest of the board about how they feel about it for sure, and then also explore the possibility of continued board oversight. If we're going to do any events of any type, I think I personally want to be way more involved. Sorry for the sort of impassioned plea, but if anyone on the board has further questions.
Chairwoman McAnally, this is Jason Bergeron. Thank you so much for those comments. I think everyone can probably tell from comments at previous meetings over the summer, I likewise feel very concerned about some of these parameters of certain events, and I'm hoping that maybe the cloud is going to lift in this country a little bit with recent events that we don't need to talk about. But we're in the middle of a crisis, and I hope folks will start to maybe understand. And I understand the health department's had a hard time. The mayor's office has had a heck of a time trying to get people to be responsible, and it's not working in a lot of regards. And I don't want to be a part of the problem in that if there are certain events being staged that really shouldn't. And I know everybody's sort of in uncertain territory, and it's very challenging all around. But the fact of the matter is, we're in the middle of a pandemic that's getting worse at the moment, and I too am deeply uncomfortable with some of the details of what ended up happening at that event, and frankly didn't understand that there would be a dancing component. And had I understood that would have had a lot more concern. So I agree completely that any event like this, I'd rather call special board meetings twice a month to hear about any new event. I just would rather the board be able to vet it all out and walk through it step by step. And that's no offense at all to our staff, who are fantastic, or anyone, or to the health department. I know they're trying to set standards, but with all due respect, there have been events in this city that shouldn't be happening, and there are weddings happening right now that shouldn't be happening, and there are lots of things that shouldn't be happening. And so, at least as it regards the fairgrounds, I too agree that if there is, unless it's everybody in their cars, I would prefer that the board hear about the event in advance and get to ask a lot of questions. That's just the way I feel we have to go right now. I'll stop talking.
Chair, I'd like to chime in. This is Sherry Weiner. We can control only what we can control. And clearly the fairgrounds is something that we have some obvious authority over. That said, I couldn't agree more with what we've already heard from my two counterparts. In addition to that, the only thing I would like to add is potentially just from an air of fairness and consistency, that we establish a set of criteria by which we would judge each of these events, so that nobody feels like we're, playing favorites or, anything else potentially untoward. I am more concerned than ever, as both Jason and Aaron are, as to our what's the word I'm looking for? Participation in exacerbating an already horrific situation. So that's really all I want to add to it, but I am extraordinarily concerned as well.
Thank you, Chairman McAnally. This is Commissioner Hammer. I share your concerns, and definitely think there can be better path forward. I guess I'm first curious, from either Scott or Laura, do we have any other those kind of scale events outside? I know we have some that are kind of driving around the track and whatnot, but other than the scheduled races, what other type of events do we have that could fall into that category, say in the next 6 months?
This is Scott. We have only one that we have right now is the Emotion Christmas Light Show, which we had before in October. No, excuse me, in September. That they drove, just people driving around the track as a no contact, no touch. They all stay in their cars. We're working on that for the beginning of December. That's all that we have scheduled right now. We do have some people that are asking about in the spring because they know that we're only doing outside events. So I'm pretty certain that people probably not want to have any events in January, February, at least. And so we're looking into March and April as events. And like Laura said, we were working very hard with the health department. We had a good conversation with Tom Sharp yesterday, talking about some ways that we can get this rectified. And just so you all I'm just as cautious as you all are. This event, we feel like we did not. We got bombarded a little bit on that, but please understand that the other events that we've done, we've had no issues. We've had Veg Fest, that was a 2-day show. We've had a firefighters concert. We've had races, monster trucks this weekend. I attended all 4 events, and we had great attendance, and people did what they were supposed to do for the most part. So, but we have an obligation to try to make money for the city as well. So that is part of what we're doing. But we definitely are very cautious of this, and we are in contact with the health department all the time. I totally agree with them with us doing the application. I totally agree. We had a conversation with a health department person that came to the monster truck show this weekend, and she speaks Spanish, and she said, call me directly if you're going to have an event like this again, so I can be there. And to our staff that were there, they did all they could for the beginning, which was from the first few hours, it was fine. People sat with their families, and people did what they're supposed to do. We had signings in Spanish. We talked to the promoter at the end of it, what they call an encore, and they moved the bulls out of the way, and everybody came. And by that time, when our staff was about to pull the plug on the event, that's when it was over. So that's what happened. We know how it looked, on the both stations that came up, the news stations, and we're very. I expressed to Commissioner McAnally that I was embarrassed. She told me don't be embarrassed, but I'm still embarrassed about what happened, especially being a husband of a reporter. I understand a little bit more how these things go. So understand that we definitely feel the same way that you do. We do. We are being very careful, but it's a slippery slope. And then when we talk about it, I just want to just remind people too that our staff has to still have to be, do things on a 117-acre lot. We have to worry about the dog park, the park in the back. People are not social distancing back there as well. So if we're going to look at that, I think we need to look at those portions as well, because those people are on our property too, without wearing masks, not social distancing, not following any protocols. We don't have any signage back there. We assume, and another thing that Laura forgot to mention is that we felt like as well, talking to Dr. Caldwell, and I honestly did not agree with this at first, to be honest, but I agree with him now that alcohol had a huge problem with this. So we want to mitigate that as well, as far as selling alcohol at our events during COVID, because once that happened, we felt like that happened, the music happened, and then it was Katie by the door. So we're working on things like that. But we'd also like to, some help with the dog park, with the soccer fields and other things that go on that we kind of control, but we don't control. So we'd like some help with that as well.
Thank you, Mr. Wallace. And I want to, after hearing you speak, I want to state from myself, at least personally, that this is not an admonishment of anyone on our staff. You're being called to action in an unprecedented time and with unprecedented measures. This is, and again, this is me personally speaking, an admonishment of the health department. I mean, granted, I know that they're dealing with unprecedented times, but when we're in a position where the city is open and phased to have events, we have to react to that as a money-making venture for the city. But at the same time, if we're not given the proper tools to handle that, that's not, I'm not blaming anyone on staff, and I stand by it, not feeling embarrassed, because I think embarrassment is a useless emotion, especially in a workplace. And I think it can be a harmful emotion, in fact. So I don't want anyone on our staff to feel that way. I do think that the solution here is more oversight and more contact with the health department. If we're not walking back the phases, and we are going to be in a position where we have to comply with those phases being open, then I think that we, I don't know if we need to take a vote on what oversight looks like, or to speak to Commissioner Wiener's point, if we need to be working on protocol, but that's up for discussion. And I'll allow other board members to chime in on.
So I have a question. This is Sherry Wiener again. And the question would go to Laura. Is there any sense from your perspective and that of your staff of some kind of consistent measures that you guys would feel comfortable sharing with us now, or at some near point that we could maybe talk through appropriate criteria, if you will?
So I would say yes, we do. And I think that the most experience that we have is the protocols that the track used. I think it's clear that the health department, by virtue of their desire to have events meet or exceed those protocols that were put into place for us to start races, are more than adequate. So to your point, Commissioner Wiener, about our staff and our partners, Track Enterprises, D&D, we know what has to be done for COVID protocols. But we are only as successful as the attendees who are participating and who are compliant. So it gives me pause to look at further events as well. So I know all of you, we've talked about it last board meeting, that we want to move forward with an outdoor only flea market. We've done an application into health, but once all of this, these last few events really kind of showed that while we can be uber prepared and very clear on COVID protocols, again, it is the attendees' willingness to comply that is going to determine how successful an event is and how safe an event is. So I have some serious reservations at this point of moving forward with an outdoor event, again, that is not the no contact like the lights, until we get a kind of a better handle on that with our attendees. Because I know that we had to do, the All-American was great and our race season was great all the way around. But, I'm not going to lie, we had some issues in the infield that we're going to have to mitigate moving into, I think, the spring season, because I don't think this is going to be over. We're still going to be in a position to have some sort of protocols in place. Certainly the rodeo event, you know, we had to make some pretty clear announcements at the monster trucks too, that the event wasn't going to start until people put their masks on, and they did comply once that was done. But again, these events are only going to be safe and as effective as all of our attendees comply with these mandates. So yes, to your point, sorry, I kind of got off on a tangent there, but yes, we do have good protocols in place that D&D and Track Enterprises have implemented all year long. They have been approved multiple times through the health department, and we can work with them to have set a standard on what those are and then hold events accountable to meet or exceed that level. And I can get those to you.
That answers my question, Chair.
Okay, great. Any other questions from the board? Okay, great. I think in the meantime, all of us just being in touch with Laura, and if any, and Scott has been really great about this, about keeping in touch with upcoming events. Let's just all be on the lookout for anything that might come outside of the contactless event coming up in December. Does that satisfy everyone for the moment?
Yeah, sounds good to me.
Okay. Commissioner Bergeron, is that okay with you?
Yes, thanks.
It's fine with me too, Sherry.
Okay, great. Thank you, Sherry. Scott, did you have something else?
I want to say that I'd be happy to, have anyone. I know I've talked to you. Anybody that wants to talk to me about anything directly. I think everyone has my phone number. Maybe not Commissioner Bergeron, but I've talked to each one of you in the past. So anytime you want to talk to us, and we want, again, I just wanted to, let the record reflect that I am just as cautious about events as you are, and I'd be happy to just vet it all the way through and and make sure that everyone feels comfortable, and make sure that everyone knows that we as a staff are we feel just as cautious as everyone else, and this is the city. We work for the city. We feel like we should be the examples for everyone else, and that event made us look not like an example, and we want to make sure that does not happen again. And I'm very competitive, and I as a lot of you know, and I don't like losing. So we want to make sure that we do everything that you all feel comfortable with everyone, because at the end of the day, we want everyone to be happy with the events that happen at the fairgrounds, the patrons, the promoters, you all, us, everyone. If everyone's not happy, then I didn't do my job.
Thank you for that, Scott. And I don't want to glaze over the fact that we know that we have to make money and that we are in the business of putting on events. And I know that is a concern of staff as well. Obviously, it's a concern of ours as well. So it's in the balance, certainly, and that is obviously a consideration. But we just want to make sure that everyone is safe, and I'm glad that we have a staff that feels the same way. And thank you all for bearing with my impassioned plea. Moving on then, if no one else has any other questions. Okay, great. We will move on to bylaws.
I will start that off. So each of you, it received in your packet the updated bylaws. I want to thank Alex Dickerson, Metro Legal, for helping get a lot of the comments incorporated. So last meeting, we presented a draft. There were a few additions that needed to be made, and so that item was deferred until this meeting. Since then, there were 3 updates to the bylaws in just defining the public comment, making that a little bit more clear on the fact that we do allow public comment. And so that section, as well as the meeting section, and an update to the capital projects section, which was to add a statement in regarding that at least annually, the Fair Board will review the items that are in the CIB and then can offer support for or against that project being funded. That way we have a mechanism in place to communicate with administration and the council on those items that are sitting in the CIB. So those are the 3 updates that were made to the bylaws. And unless there was anything missed, I think we're good to go with all updates.
Okay, great. So do we have a motion to adopt?
Commissioner Hammer, a motion to adopt the new bylaws.
This is Commissioner Bergeron. I'll second that motion.
Great. Any discussion? All right, if we don't have discussion, we'll take a roll call vote. Commissioner Hammer?
Aye.
Commissioner Bergeron?
Aye.
Commissioner Weiner? Did we lose you, Sherry?
I think we lost her. I don't see her on the list.
Uh-oh, Alex, what do we do?
Yeah, it looks like she's coming back. This is Alex Dickerson, Metro Legal. Looks like she's popped back up.
Okay, perfect.
Chairwoman, we've never had a commissioner disappear in the middle.
I know. Commissioner Weiner, we're taking a roll call vote. Were you here for the motion? Oh, I see she's off. Commissioner Weiner, are you there? Oh. Commissioner Weiner, can you hear us? Bear with us for just a moment as we deal with this technical difficulty.
So Commissioner Weiner is having audio issues, as we noted. She is going to have to reboot and come back in. So it'll take just a little bit.
Commissioner Weiner, if you can hear us, you don't need to reboot. If you just want to call with your cell phone, that might be quicker.
Chair McAnally, this is Alex Dickerson, Metro Legal. Just so everybody is aware, in the unlikely event that Commissioner Weiner is unable to get back, you only need to have 3 votes to be a positive vote of 3 commissioners to amend the bylaws. So it wouldn't be the end of the world if for some reason she can't get back on.
Okay. Thank you. We'll just give her 1 more minute, and if she's not back on, we'll move on. Okay, it looks like now she's completely gone from the meeting. So I think what I'll do is just remind everyone that we've taken a motion to adopt these bylaws, and we're in the middle of a vote with Mr. Bergeron and Mr. Hemmer voting aye, and I, Commissioner McAnally, also vote aye. I think we can move on from that. And now we have no new business this month, so do we have a motion to adjourn?
This is Jason Bergeron. Move to adjourn.
Commissioner Hammer, a second.
Let's take a roll call vote. Commissioner Hemmer?
Aye.
Commissioner Bergeron?
Aye.
Aye, Commissioner McAnally. I'm also aye. Thank you, everybody, for being here, and we will see you next month.
This has been a service of the Metro Nashville Network. If you would like to see this presentation again, or for more information about this and other programs, visit nashville.net.